Hello, and welcome to Christopher Newport University. My name is Edward Vincent Benton III, and I'll be your tour guide here today. A little information about me. I study mathematics here at Christopher Newport, and outside of being a tour guide, I'm involved in several other organizations. One of which is Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, through which we take on a number of initiatives assisting with the March of Dimes, raising voter awareness, and mentoring youth in the community. Outside of that, I'm also involved in the Student Virginia Educators Association, through which I take on a number of opportunities volunteering in local elementary and middle schools here in Newport News. But enough about me. Right now, we're on the second floor of Christopher Newport Hall, where you would come for a tour, good job, as well as an admissions interview. Now, these interviews are fairly informal. This is our chance as an administration to get to know you, the person. We want to know how you think, what your academic interests are, and where you see yourself after you've graduated from here. Now, follow me, and let's get started on the tour. Here we are on the steps of the Christopher Newport Hall. Now, before we get going on the tour, I want to tell you a little bit more about this building. On our fourth floor, we have our executive offices, where you can find the offices of our president and provost, who highly encourage you to go visit them during their office hour sessions. On our third floor, we have our housing office, as well as our Center for Career Planning, who offer a number of tools and services for our students. Perhaps you're coming into college undecided, or maybe you don't know what career path you want to take after you've chosen a major. The Center for Career Planning offers a number of tools and resources for you to help make the best decision for your future. And since we're captains for life, you can use these resources even after you've graduated. On our second floor, here we have our Welcome Center, which I mentioned to you previously. And on our first floor, we have our Office of the Registrar, our financial aid offices, as well as our Center for Academic Success, which houses our tutoring and writing centers. Now, perhaps you need help finishing a paper, or perhaps you want to jump in the game as a tutor. In either case, the Center for Academic Success is where you go to get the support you need and become the editor that you've always dreamed of. So here we are just outside of Christopher Newport Hall on our great lawn. Now, typically on a day like this, we would have a number of students outside, perhaps enjoying a picnic or a nap, on a blanket here, or maybe tossing frisbee, playing a little slam ball. And I want you to know something about our great lawn here. First of all, it's one of the largest great lawns of any university in the state of Virginia. And you can think about it as the center of our campus. Our campus is set up sort of like a target, with the great lawn being the bullseye in the center. Now, in that first ring around the bullseye, you'll notice we have our academic buildings, one of which is the Trible Library, which we'll see later on the tour. The Trible Library is home to, of course, our books, as well as our famous Einstein's Cafe. Now, behind me in this direction, we have the David Student Union. The David Student Union is home to one of our two dining halls here on campus, as well as our CNU mailroom and our CNU ballroom. Directly behind me, we have McMurrin Hall, which is home to our humanities and arts departments. Over here, behind my shoulder, we have Forbes Hall, which is home to the natural and behavioral sciences. So if you're interested in studying biology, chemistry, microbiology, that is where you'll go. And over here to my left, your right, we have Luter Hall, which is home to our internationally accredited School of Business, as well as our physics department, our engineering department, and most importantly, our mathematics department. Now, right this way, let's go check out the Freeman Center. As we move towards our Freeman Center to talk about our athletic facilities, I want to take a few moments now to revisit our analogy about the shape of campus. Now, if you imagine our great lawn being the center, the bullseye of that target, and the first ring around that bullseye being our academic buildings, the next ring around that bullseye would be our residence halls and dining facilities. Now, behind my right shoulder, we have an example of one of our dining halls called Commons. This is where all sorts of students go for lunch, dinner, and especially for breakfast. Now, Commons is attached to one of our freshman residencies here, known as Santoro Hall. Across my left shoulder, we have an example of our sophomore-style housing, Warwick Hall, which is set up as a suite. So you and your roommates will share a common space. Now, we like to say at Christopher Newport, our housing gets better and better every year. As an upperclassman, you'll receive what we call our apartment-style housing. So inside of your suite, you have a shared common space as well as a shared kitchen. And that is how our residence halls are set up. We have behind Warwick Hall an example of one of our upperclassmen facilities called Rappahannock. And we also have more upperclassmen housing across the street on East Campus. Here we are just outside of the Freeman Center building. Now this building is home to our health and wellness centers here on campus. So inside of here, you'll find our field house, which is home to our athletic teams. We have our Trieshman Fitness Pavilion, as well as a few other service centers. So inside of these doors over my shoulder, you can find our Counseling Services Center, which offers free services for students, as well as our on-campus clinic, home to our nurse practitioner, who is able to give vaccines, provide prescriptions, and you can even have those prescriptions filled at the Harris Teeter directly across the street. Welcome to our Trieshman Fitness Pavilion. It is one of 2 workout facilities here on campus, the other of which is Radcliffe Hall, which is specifically for student athletes. So coming in here, you don't have to worry about the 160-man football team taking over all the workout equipment. Now, what does this facility have to offer? Well, for one, we have our cardio machines, and you'll notice that we also have our Cox televisions up there as well. So if you need to watch a documentary for class or watch a couple of videos, you can do that while you get your cardio on as well. In here, behind me, we have our free weights section, which is great for picking up very heavy objects and putting them back down. In here, we have some more cardio equipment. You'll notice the ellipticals as well as the treadmills. We also, in this facility, have 2 multi-purpose rooms, which are great for, as you guessed it, multiple purposes. So these spaces are used for individual student workouts, as well as some of our fitness classes that are sponsored by the university. Now, how these classes work. If you want to go to an individual class session, you're going to pay $5 at our front desk for that session. Now, say, for example, maybe you want to do multiple sessions in a week, or you are committed to your health and wellness and want to go to sessions all week long, all semester long. What you're going to do is go to our front desk and pay $25 up front at the start of the semester and go ahead and try out those fitness classes. Now, with that said, speaking of our front desk, all of the staff here are student staff. And all of those staff members are CPR trained, first aid certified, and knowledgeable of all machines and equipment that are used in this facility. So if you have any questions about any of the workouts, feel free to ask them. Now, last thing, across from our front desk, our welcome desk here at the facility, we also have our men's and women's locker room equipped with all of the locker room essentials. So if you're coming straight from class and you have a bag with you, you need to change your clothes, we have plenty of resources for you to get changed as well as store your equipment for when you're done with your workout. Here we are inside of the Freeman Center Fieldhouse, which is home to a number of our athletic teams here on campus. Specifically, this home court right here is home to our men's and women's basketball teams as well as our women's volleyball team. Now, to tell you about the gym, I kind of got to show you about the gym. So let's start with the floor. If you notice what I'm standing on right now, I'm standing on the track. And I felt a little bit faster walking in here. Reason being, what I'm standing on right now is called Mondo Turf. This is the second fastest running material in the world and has been used in the past not 1, not 2, not 3, the past 4 Olympic Games. We like to give our students the very best here at Christopher Newport University. So, as you notice, this hardwood floor court here. On the other side of that curtain, over there to my left, you'll notice that we have 2 more adjacent courts, which can be used for another of other athletic facilities. For example, we might have a dance team practicing in the gym at the same time as our volleyball team, and we might have the baseball team on the far court doing indoor batting practice. The reason we're able to make all of those things happen at once is because of our curtain system here. Now, what you'll notice is that we have a curtain that comes down and divides each of the 3 main courts. We also, above us, have another curtain that separates all of the courts from the surrounding track, meaning that we can have 3 teams practicing on each of those 3 courts, and we can have a track practice going on at the exact same time. It's phenomenal. Now, another thing I want to point out, if you look at the walls all over the field house here, you'll notice we have a number of banners. That's because we do a lot of winning here at Christopher Newport University. We have the highest winning percentage in the state of Virginia for any university, Division 1, 2, or 3. We're winning nearly 3/4 of all the games that we play. So that means there's a 3 out of 4 chance if you came to see us play, you'd watch us win. Why don't you come on down for a game sometime? As we continue through the Freeman Center, I want to introduce you to our conference wing. So this wing is 2 floors and is home to a number of meeting and seminar spaces for on-campus groups to host small events. And over my left shoulder, we also have our Gaines Theater, which seats around 150 to 250 students and is used primarily by the campus activities boards or other organizations to host some more theatrical events on campus. Directly behind me, we have the Ferguson Center of the Arts, which is home to 3 different theaters, which are host to a number of different events on campus. One of the perks of being a captain is that we get to see events like the Blue Man Crew, John Legend, even the Russian Ballet. And because we're captains, we get the ultimate discount. Students get rush tickets, meaning we get tickets first, and we get those tickets for only $25. The other thing that's wonderful about the Ferguson Center of the Arts is that it's home to our theater and arts departments. So if you're a student interested in theater, dance, or music, this is the place to be. Here we are now in the Paul and Rosemary Trible Library. Specifically, we're in one of the newest expansions to the library, our reading room. The reading room is 2 floors and gives access to students to have over 1,100 seats and study spaces during the academic year. Now, this library is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so long as classes are in session. With that said, our 2nd floor is full of wonderful centers. We have our media center, where students can rent DVDs and movies for their classes. We also have a number of seats and study spaces down the hallway here. We also have our undergraduate research center for students that want to get involved and engaged in research opportunities both on campus and within the local Newport News community. The 2nd floor of this library is also home to our small research presentation theater, where students can gather, attend guest lectures, as well as host small research and academically oriented events. As we continue our exploration of the 2nd floor, there are a few more spaces that I want to mention to you. Chiefly, we have our Honors Program office, our Center for Graduate Studies, as well as our Undergraduate Research Center. As if that wasn't enough to offer, we also have multiple classrooms on the 2nd floor, as well as 2 silent reading rooms. Now, fun fact about the reading rooms, one of the reading rooms sits on the sun-facing side of the library, in which there are lighter woods and lighter paint on the walls to energize students and have them a little more hyped up while they study. While on the other side of the building, we have another silent reading room, which faces away from the sun and is filled with more subdued tones and darker wood paneling so that students can feel calm and relaxed as they study. We've really thought about everything here at Christopher Newport University. Here we are on the 1st floor of the Paul and Rosemary Trible Library, home to over 800,000 volumes of literature. Now, over my right shoulder, your left, you'll notice that we have a computer lab with printer access. Each student at the beginning of the semester is given print funds that come as part of their tuition here. Also in that room is our IT help desk, which is Mac and PC friendly for all of you students here to receive free technical support whenever you need it. Over my left shoulder, your right, we have our circulation desk where you can go to rent up to 50 textbooks at one time. And if you ever have a class that makes you rent 50 books, I recommend dropping it. With that said though, if there's ever a book of those 50 that you're trying to rent and you can't seem to find it amongst our 800,000 volumes of literature, I recommend that you take advantage of our interlibrary loan system that we have in place here. We can get any book from any library within that library loan system and have it shipped here free of charge just for you. And finally, over here behind my left shoulder, we have our Einstein's Cafe, home to all of our Starbucks essentials, our pastries, our muffins, and most importantly, our Starbucks coffee. It's also a great hangout space in between classes if you want to grab a cup of coffee and chat with some friends. Behind this staircase here, we have more seats and study spaces available for all of our students so we can maximize our time in the library. Here we are in York River West. It is an example of one of our freshman residencies here on campus. Fun fact about this building is that it's designed after a ski lodge that the president and his wife had visited once while on vacation. Now, typically, when I enter this building, I would show my handy-dandy student ID to the front desk assistant or resident advisor that is at this desk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But since classes are out of session, I'm simply walking in. Now, how this system works. The reason I flash my ID is not only so the FDA or RA knows that I live there. It's also so I can show them my sticker that would otherwise be right here. Each color-coded sticker corresponds to a specific color at each of the residence halls here on campus. It's one of our multiple security measures that we use here at the university. Now, when it comes to campus safety, we are one of 3 universities in the state of Virginia to have a crime prevention certification. Now, not only is the university crime prevention certified, but also Newport News as a city is also crime prevention certified, making us one of the few universities in the state to have a dual crime prevention certifications. What does that mean? It means that 1, we are very, very safe. 2, it means that our campus police department works very hard to make sure that we're kept safe. Now, how do we obtain these certifications? Not only do we update standards and regulations each year to maintain these certifications, we also have a police force whose precinct is located directly across the street from the Ferguson Center of the Arts. They work with the Newport News Police to train each year. They also do annual walks around campus to make sure that the foliage is cut a certain way and to make sure that all the lighting on campus is up to those crime prevention certification standards. Now, as an added measure of security, we have behind me to my left, your right, something very cool that we refer to as the Alert boxes. These boxes are fantastic because these boxes are located in every building and on every hallway. Anytime there is ever an emergency, which is rare, you will hear one of these boxes go off. For example, if there is a fire, you will hear these boxes going off throughout the building with a sound that is impossible to ignore. And to make doubly sure that you get out and handle the emergency properly, there is a message that will flash across this screen. For example, if there's a fire, you will hear the alert. You will run to the box. The box will say, there is a fire. Please exit the building in a safe and orderly fashion. Now, between the Alert boxes, Campus PD, and the safety standards that the university upkeeps, I can tell you as a student myself that we are at one of the safest universities in Virginia, and I am proud of all the work that our CNU police force does to make sure that we are kept calm and safe. As we continue our exploration of York River West, I want to take a few minutes now to talk about an example of a freshman style room. So the first thing you'll notice when you walk in here is that we have this coat space. You have a couple racks, one for each of the people in the room, and enough space for some hanging storage as well. Continuing in, another important feature is this adjustable AC monitor here. Now, you'll have to duke it out with your roommate for the setting, but you can have it as cold as the Arctic or as hot as the desert, so long as you and your roommate agree on it. That's a great feature to have in a freshman style residence hall. Now, if you look to my right, your left, you'll notice something a little odd, but it's done intentionally. You'll see the mirror and the sink are on the outside of the restroom. That's on purpose. Because you're going to be sharing this space with another person, your roommate might be in the shower while you need to get dressed for class. Well, you can still come to this sink, brush your teeth, do your makeup, and get dressed all at the same time. And that's why we have the sink on the outside of the restroom as opposed to the inside. Now, with that said, one of my favorite elements of any room is the micro fridge unit. That's short for microwave and refrigerator unit. This comes with the room, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason that's so special is because not only do you not have to buy one of those, you also don't have to worry about the storage for one of these. These come standard in every single room all over campus. Now, another important feature I want you to take note of, take a look at this desk and chair setup. You'll notice that everything with this shade of wood comes with your standard Christopher Newport University room. So you'll notice in a typical room, we have 2 desks, 2 chairs, 2 beds, which can be raised or lowered to various heights. You can have one bed almost touching the floor. You can have a bed lofted. You can even make bunk beds if you and your roommate would like. Also, 2 wardrobes. And you'll notice if I open the wardrobe, we have more hanging space, more room for hanging storage, as well as multiple shelves and multiple drawers. These are great features to have in any room, and typically there would be 2 in a freshman residence hall. In this case, there is only 1. That is because this is a showroom. All of the decorations you see here, including the bedspreads, are provided by Bed Bath & Beyond. So if you come down here for move-in day and you happen to forget, oh my gosh, I left my sheets and my bed stuff at home, don't worry, Bed Bath & Beyond is just less than 10 minutes away in the local Newport News community area. Now, another vital piece of living here as a freshman is understanding your roommate. Each room not only comes with these accessories that I pointed out, but each room comes with a roommate. Now, there are two ways to select your roommate here. One option is through mutual selection, and the other recommended option is through random selection. Now, let me explain mutual selection. Say, for example, you and I, we went to high school together. We, had a really great time and we want to go to college together and live in the same room. Well, all we have to do is fill out a little bit of paperwork online, make sure we sign our contract saying that we do select each other, and 99.9 times out of 100, we will end up living in the same space. We'll move in the same day. We'll high five about it and it'll be great. Now, the preferred way to move in is random selection. I'll tell you why. The random roommate process is not really so random as it sounds. Each resident hall has its own what we call learning communities, meaning that each hallway within a freshman residency is built based upon your academic interest coming into the university. For example, I had an interest in mathematics when I came into school. Well, I was roommates with someone who had an academic interest in computer science. And our hallway was full of physicists, computer engineers, computer scientists, and other mathematicians, which made the learning environment great. Not only did I share classes with some of these people, I also shared a living space. When I would leave class and I maybe needed some help getting tutored, or maybe we wanted to work on homework assignments together, we had an academic environment in our living spaces that was suited perfectly for that. Again, living at Christopher Newport is all about being intentional. And with that said, speaking about great study environments, I want you to notice on the ceiling, we have a Wi-Fi router up there. We recently tripled the amount of Wi-Fi on campus, meaning that if I start a homework assignment from the comfort of my own bed, I can go all the way out to the Great Lawn without missing a second to buffering. That's important. Now, continuing on about sharing spaces. Since you're living with the same people that you go to class with, you have a roommate, each residence itself is set up suite style. What that means is that I, living in this room, would have one roommate, and we would be sharing a restroom area with an adjoining suite. They would have their own door set up just like this for their own room. Now, again, because this is a showroom, we can't show you that other room, but we can show you this. Inside of the restroom here, you see we have ample shower space, various racks for towels, enough for each of the roommates in the suite, and we have our stall area in there as well. And these are just some of the many features that you'll get to experience as a resident here. Now, if you follow me back out, I want to talk about some of the features of the hall. Each residence hall is designed specifically to ensure that our residents have a comfortable learning experience. With that said, on each hall of each residence hall, you'll find a multi-purpose room. These rooms are typically used for studying and other social events that the RA or resident advisor might host. Some of these events include ice cream socials or small get-togethers in and around different exam periods, and even, icebreaker games during welcome week, which you'll get to experience very soon. So let me talk a little bit more about the resident advisor. They're sort of like the big brother or big sister of the hallway. When you move in, the resident advisor will help you to navigate the contract you'll make, known as the roommate agreement. This is just a list of rules or a list of standards that you and your roommate are choosing to live under while you're paired together. Your resident advisor is also who you would go to if you're having conflicts with your roommate. Now, the way that works, say, for example, worst case scenario, which rarely happens, you don't get along with your roommate. You find that a few weeks into school, you're just having a lot of trouble getting to know each other. You don't really blend together well, and you have a hard time following each other's standards set up in the rule agreement. Well, it's sort of a multi-step process if you would like to switch your roommates. The first thing you would do is try to talk out all of the disagreements on your own. Because Christopher Newport is all about intention and engagement, we want you as individuals to try to solve your own conflicts. And if that can't happen, that's when you go to your resident advisor to act as a moderator during some of those roommate disagreement discussions. At that point, hopefully and normally, all disagreements are worked out and the roommates end up making a new agreement as a collective group. Now, say, for example, that doesn't happen. That's all right. The resident advisor, along with the signees, being the two residents, if they were each or one of which was to select the option to move out, well, that's a very short process that normally takes about a week or so to find new placement in the university. Again, that is a rare case. Most of our university students love their roommates and get along great inside of the residence halls. Now, enough about roommates. Let's talk about some more features of the hall. In each hall, you'll notice that there are trash rooms. Yes, you're taking out your own trash. With that said, it's also imperative that you work out with your roommate who's bringing what cleaning supplies. Now, in each residence hall, you can find that they have your standard vacuum cleaner, but perhaps you and your roommate can work out who's bringing the trash can or who's bringing the broom, who's bringing the bleach, because you're cleaning your own rooms and restrooms. With that said, you'll notice that there's also vending machines to my left, your right, which are free for access for any of the residents of the hallway. And I also want you to know that we won't see it on this tour. There are laundry rooms located on the first and third floors of each residence hall, because you will be responsible for doing your own laundry, which is great because you won't have to wait until fall break to get your first load of laundry done. So long as you have your handy dandy student ID with you or a whole bunch of quarters, you're able to handle your own laundry. It is $1.25 to use the washing machine and $1.25 to use the drying machine. With that said, I can't wait to see you move in. Good, you're still here. At this point in the tour, you probably have a few questions about move-in that I'm going to address very briefly right now as we transition into the next building. So first and foremost, let me explain one of the many traditions here at CNU. It's actually one of my favorite. It's Freshman Move-In Day. Now, Freshman Move-In Day is very special because it's one of the few times that you and your family get to drive your vehicles right on these sidewalks directly up to a residence hall. What makes it so special is that you, the freshmen, don't actually have to lift a finger except to sign a little bit of paperwork. All of your belongings are going to be moved in by student volunteers and members of the resident staff. That means that all you have to do is show up with a positive attitude, spend a few cherished moments with your family and friends who came with you to move in, and then unpack your own belongings. That is one of the many traditions that we have here. Another question that we typically get at this point in the tour is about parking. Freshmen here are allowed to have vehicles, and to get a parking pass, it's about $250 for a year-long pass, $125 for a semester pass. Now, one bit of advice, I recommend as a freshman not having a vehicle on campus. Why, you might ask? Well, there are a few very specific reasons. A lot of your life happens on campus. Between the social events, the multiple festivals on campus, we have Spring Fest, Winter Fest, plenty of funnel cake to go around. And on top of that, our campus activities board does an excellent job about hosting events like movie and popcorn nights on campus. Every organization here, of which there are over 200 plus, has some part of making this community come alive, especially during your weekend time. So you won't be spending a lot of time off campus. In fact, your family and friends might be asking you to join on campus. Now, with that said, I want to talk to you a little bit about some more traditions that we have here. Another one of my favorites is our CNU Farmers Market. Now, on a day like today, the sun is shining, it's beautiful. Every Thursday during the fall and spring, we have what we call the CNU Farmers Market. And you can look at this entire strip of road behind me. It'll be filled with vendors selling all types of different produce and products. You'll see live bands playing. In fact, I knew a few people who came in here and performed just for the sake of performing. It's a great cultural experience to have here at Christopher Newport, and it's one that we cherish, especially during our midterm and finals weeks. We are home to the world's, and I mean this, the world's longest bunny, not the largest, the world's longest bunny, Mr. Fluffy. He's getting up there in age, but he keeps coming back because he gets so much love from the students here. Again, he's just one of the many reasons why we love the CNU Farmers Market. Welcome to the David Student Union, which we abbreviate DSU for short. We call this the heartbeat of our campus because you'll likely be in here at least once or twice a day for various reasons, which we'll talk about. Now, on our third floor, we have our two OSAs. We have the Office of Student Affairs and the Office of Student Activities. Now, the Office of Student Affairs is home to our CHECS office, or the Center for Honor Enrichment and Community Standards, as well as our President's Leadership Program office. The Office of Student Activities is home to our 200 plus clubs and organizations stationed here on campus. Each club and organization is given a resource space and certain resources for making posters and banners, which you would typically see hung up on our banisters. On our second floor, we have our CNU ballroom up the steps, which is home to our captain's ball, which is kind of like prom, but for college with better snacks and less drama. Behind you, we have our CNU mailroom. The CNU mailroom is great because when you move in, you'll receive a mailbox number, which you will keep all 4 years of your residency here on campus. So if you want your mom or dad to send you some cookies or a nice little care package, all you have to do is write down your address and mailbox number just once, and they can keep that your entire college experience. Also on our second floor, on the opposite corner, we have our crow's nest. This is a great spot to hang out, enjoy some social time. It's also a great space to do a little social studying, as I like to call it. Coming down to our first floor, we have a few offices that I want you to be aware of. Over here to my left, your right, we have our CNU Engage and Study Abroad offices. Anyone who's been interested in studying in a foreign country, experiencing a new culture, would be happy to know that our Study Abroad office is engaged in getting students out every single year. And if you're invested in doing some community service work in the local Hampton Roads area, all you have to do is head on over to our CNU Engage office, where you can find out about all the opportunities in the local Newport News community. Also to my left, your right, you'll notice we have the Captain's Locker, where you can get all of your CNU swag and apparel. It's also where you can find our online textbook store. Now, before I continue any further, I want to ask, are there any questions? Oh, right. Of course not. I guess I could continue on to talk about food now, the most important part of any college experience. So, without further ado, you'll notice in the David Student Union, we have 4 distinct eateries. We have our Discovery Pizzeria, where you can get pizza, soft pretzels, and even churros. All the way back along this wall, we have our Chick-fil-A Express, which has everything a real Chick-fil-A does, except for milkshakes and except for the spicy chicken sandwich, which is all right because on the other side of campus, just behind the SunTrust building, there's a full-service Chick-fil-A. Now over here to my left, your right, you'll notice we have Discovery Bistro, which has a plethora of healthy food options, paninis, and my favorite, sushi. We have a sous chef that comes in every day and prepares fresh sushi for all of the students. Now, all the way along this back wall, we have the Discovery Grill, which has, I like to say, everything that the Discovery Bistro doesn't. Discovery Grill is where you go for all of your not so healthy food options. Your fried foods like mozzarella sticks, burgers, chicken nuggets, fried mac and cheese, all the stuff that has no vegetables in it. That's where we go. My personal favorite. Now, if you follow me a little bit further, you'll notice that back here we have one of our 2 dining facilities on campus. I've already talked about Commons, now I'm going to spend some time talking about Regattas. Here we are in the recently expanded section of Regattas, one of our 2 dining facilities here on campus, the other of which is Commons, which we saw earlier on the tour. Now, I want to take a few minutes to talk about how Regattas operates. Regattas is a self-operating dining facility, meaning we make and prepare all of the food every week on our own. One of the features that's really great is that Regattas is set up buffet style, meaning that we have a ready-to-order burger station, a pasta station, a healthy haven where you can get gluten-free and allergen-free foods that are properly labeled for you. With that said, one of the key features I want to note about Regattas is that each student, when you enter as a freshman, has their own meal plan. Each meal plan has specific requirements or standards that you should be aware of. So you can have the 19 meal plan or the 14 meal plan. With a 19 meal plan, you get to eat every meal throughout the week. That's 3 meals a day for 5 days a week, and then 2 meals on weekends, lunch and dinner on Saturday and Sunday. With the 14 meal plan, that equates to about 2 meals every single day, 7 days a week. Now, each meal plan comes with a certain amount of dining dollars. Dining dollars are dollars you can use via your handy-dandy student ID at a number of the eateries outside of Regattas. For example, the Chick-fil-A Express, Discovery Grill, and Discovery Bistro. And on top of that, you can even use what we like to call Captain's Cash, kind of like our Disney dollars here at Christopher Newport University. You can use that Captain's Cash in a number of ways at facilities across the street, such as the Panera and 7-Eleven. You can also use your Captain's Cash throughout the CNU campus at Discovery Grill, the Discovery Bistro, Chick-fil-A Express, etc. Here we are back at the Great Lawn once again. And before we continue to our next stop, I just wanted to take a few minutes right now to highlight some of my personal favorite and most meaningful traditions here at CNU. The first of which is an event called Light the Night, which takes place during Welcome Week for incoming students. All of the incoming freshmen for a given class will gather on the Great Lawn just under the steps of Christopher Newport Hall, receive some glow sticks, and then dance for hours to music played by a live DJ. And at a certain time, as soon as the beat is building up, all the students throw their glow sticks in the air, the beat drops, and everyone in unison gets to celebrate the beginning of a new journey and a new chapter in their lives. Now, another one of my favorite traditions is Convocation. Convocation is an event that is a staple of Welcome Week because that is when all incoming students sign the honor code officially and they receive their pennies. Now, these pennies are meant to be safeguarded and cherished during your 4 years here at Christopher Newport University. And there's a special reason why. Once you receive your penny, you will then exit the Ferguson Center for the Arts, and then you will proceed to the bell tower. The entire freshman class will line up all along this great lawn and one by one ring that bell tower to signify their entry into Christopher Newport University. And now, what makes those events so special is that at commencement, as the senior class proceeds from the Ferguson Center all the way to the Great Lawn here, before they see their families, before the ceremony starts, they will throw those convocation pennies into a fountain as a wish for good luck and good fortune as they enter the real world. And following commencement, after we've left the Great Lawn, we will line up once again by that bell tower and one by one ring that bell to signify the end of our academic careers at Christopher Newport University and to signify the beginning of our careers as captains for life. Welcome to Joseph W. Luter Hall. This is home to our internationally accredited School of Business. We have students here from all over the world that come for that School of Business, but that is not all this building has to offer. This is also home to our computer science and computer engineering departments, home to our physics department, and most importantly, home to our mathematics department. Go math. With that said, I want to take a few minutes now to talk about the academics here at Christopher Newport University. First of all, we are a liberal arts school, and with that comes a liberal learning core curriculum, in which you must take 5 area of inquiry courses, one of which is a 200-level language requirement. Now, we offer a number of languages here, from Spanish to German to French and even Italian. So you may continue with the language that you studied in high school, or maybe you want to try something new. You have plenty of options to choose from here at Christopher Newport University. But enough about the liberal learning core. Let's talk about class sizes, because that's really what matters most. One of the most amazing aspects of Christopher Newport University is our class size. Class sizes range between 8 and 19 students. Generally, classes are around about 14 students at the most, with the exception of our lecture hall style classes, which host up to around about 99 or 100 students. But those are typically our general education classes. I've even been in a class as small as 6 students, meaning that I got to spend a lot of one-on-one time getting attention from my professors. One great thing about professors here is that they're very accommodating when it comes to the needs of their students, and they hold very flexible office hours each week. On top of their own research that they do, they make sure that each student here at the university is cared for to the best of their needs and to the best of their ability. Now, with that said, professors, on top of hosting office hours, teaching classes, and doing their own research, also serve as advisors. Now, your first 2 years here, you'll receive a general advisor. These advisors are there to make sure that you're acclimating to the college life and enjoying yourself both inside and outside of the classroom. These advisors are there to guide you through those area of inquiry courses, as well as ensure that you're taking care of your personal emotional, mental, and physical health outside of the classroom as well. Now, you only have this advisor for 2 years because we have a tradition here, yet another one, called signing day. So in the second semester of your sophomore year, say that 10 times fast, you get dressed up with all of your friends and you go right into the DSU, the David Student Union, ballroom, where you will officially sign to your chosen major. For example, I chose mathematics, which was one of the best decisions of my life. And once you sign to your major, you'll receive a major-specific advisor. These advisors are phenomenal because they are professors in your field of study. They can direct you and tell you what courses you should take, what order you should take those courses in, the rigor of each of those courses, and perhaps even guide you in the direction of a few electives that you might be interested in based on your academic history. Not only that, but these major specific advisors will help guide you towards internship opportunities, research opportunities, and career opportunities for after you've graduated. These advisors here, these professors, ensure that students feel that they can be open and honest and really excel in this sort of academic environment. And that is something that makes Christopher Newport so special. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to the end of the tour. I want to thank you all for joining me as we explored the campus of Christopher Newport University together. Please, if you have any follow-up questions, check out our website at cnu.edu or contact a member of our admission team. With that said, hopefully, I'll be seeing you soon.